Good morning, everyone. I'm State Representative Larry Lambert. I represent the wonderful 7th District. I am here to welcome everyone to our first meeting of Delaware's Justice 40 Oversight Committee. This has been a long, wonderful road, and this is just the beginning. This is an opportunity for Delaware to center our disadvantaged communities, our overburdened communities, in an effort to not only bring forward environmental justice, but remembering that environmental justice is economic justice. We have some wonderful guests with us today. We have some wonderful panelists. And I also want to thank my fellow legislators in the General Assembly for their outstanding efforts over the years. I want to thank our cabinet secretaries for their support as well. As we begin today, I want to share with you what our agenda is. First, we're going to have introductions, some warm introductions, make sure we get to know each other. This is going to be a 15-month journey, and we want to make sure that we're all in alignment and that we're listening. We want to make sure that this is a discourse. This committee is about all of us working together for our disadvantaged communities. And lastly, I want to share that our agenda will expand into some definitions, just so that we're all familiar with the terminologies we'll be using going forward. We're going to talk about some core goals, some overarching steps, and we're also going to get into some norms for our committee. We're going to share some next steps, and we'll also proceed into public comment, because like I said, we want to ensure that we're listening and we're centering our disadvantaged communities. I'm going to start with the PowerPoint, and we can get started. Kindly bear with me. Can everyone see my screen now? Excellent. I want to start with warm introductions. And if everyone could kindly share what they're interested to learn about the Justice 40 today, or if you could share what your goals are for the Justice 40 Committee. I'll begin with sharing just a little bit about what Justice 40 is. I do want to save the time for our wonderful guest today, Dr. Cecilia Martinez, the wonderful director of the Center for Environmental Justice from the White House. We want to make sure that we give her an opportunity to give us that grounding, that foundation of how we got here. However, I do want to make sure everyone gets to have their introduction. So like I mentioned, I'm State Representative Larry Lambert. I've worked in the EJ space, the environmental justice space, for years now, and I'm so honored to be here with everyone. I'm really looking forward to hitting the ground running. Next up, our co-chair, Senator Marie Pinckney.
Good morning. Thank you, Representative Lambert. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here with you all. I am State Senator Marie Pinckney, representing the 13th District. Looking forward to utilizing this body as an opportunity to get through some of the many hurdles that we know exist when trying to put Black and Brown communities first. And looking forward to elevating the people who have been doing this work for a long time, and utilizing this body to really make sure that we get things done, and that we make sure that we have the funding that is allocated for environmental justice come into Black and Brown communities as a priority for our state. So it is an honor to be here with all of you who have been doing this work a lot longer than I have, and looking forward to working together and getting to know everyone more.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Deborah Heffernan.
Thank you. I'm State Representative Deborah Heffernan. My district is the 6th district, which borders the Delaware River and has, many communities that are impacted by environmental issues. I am chair of the Natural Resource Committee at the House and co-chair of the Capital Committee. I am an environmental toxicologist by training, and I've worked in the field of environmental justice for over a decade, and I am happy to be here and thank Representative Larry Lambert and Senator Marie Pinckney for heading this committee and selecting me to serve. Thank you.
Next up, Representative Brian Hsu. Next up, we'll proceed to Senator Darius Brown. And pardon me, I don't have visibility on everyone. So as we proceed, kindly unmute your phones and you can feel free to share. And also, if you're here to cover for someone, feel free to unmute your mic and share. Thank you, everyone. Next up, Senator Ernie Lopez.
Hi there, I'm Amy. I'm here on behalf of Senator Lopez today.
Thank you for joining, Amy. There may be a little drop of feedback on your mic, but we do appreciate you joining. Thanks so much. Next up, DelDOT Secretary Nicole Majeski.
Hi, everyone. Nicole Majeski on behalf of the Delaware Department of Transportation. We are very happy and honored to be part of this committee. Environmental justice is something that has always been at the forefront of our agency, but we are trying to even rise it up a little bit higher in creating and making sure that we have equity in transportation and that transportation is accessible and equitable to everyone in our state, and also putting more of a highlight on our resiliency and sustainability efforts. And so combining those two and just making sure that, like I said, that we've got transportation that is accessible and equitable to everyone, and that we are taking all of that into consideration and making sure that this is at the forefront of what we do, whether it is in the design phase, in a project, in our transit service, whatever it might be, that this is at the forefront of what the agency is focused on. So we're very happy to be part of this committee and engaging in these conversations.
Thank you, Secretary Majeski. Next up, we have DHS's Associate Deputy Director, Cassandra Codes Johnson.
Thank you, Representative Lambert. Good morning, everyone. I represent the Delaware Division of Public Health under the Department of Health and Social Services. Within the Department of Public Health, we regulate drinking water in the state, and we also administer the state drinking water revolving fund, which is one of the funds that is mentioned in Justice 40. So we really look forward to working with this committee to enhance the work that we already try to do in taking an equitable approach to how those funds and those projects are allocated into our state. And I also have a background in health equity research and practice over 2 decades, and also in understanding how the structural determinants of health have kind of set up some of the inequities in the environmental space that we see right now. So really looking forward to the work of this committee to help allocate those resources better.
Thank you so much, Associate Deputy Director. We appreciate it. Next up, we have Director of the Division we have Director Jeffrey Chris. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Lambert and Co-Chair Pinckney and members of the committee. I'm honored to be part of this Justice 40 Oversight Committee. I am the director of the Division of Pressure Regulation. I'm a member of the Delaware Bar, and prior to coming to state government, I served in municipal government in Sussex County during 2008 with the economic stimulus, and our town worked very hard and was able to get a lot of good grants and put a lot of solar up during that time. So I'm happy to contribute whatever skill set or knowledge I have to the committee to promote the work of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next up, we have the Delaware State Housing Authority, Director Eugene Young.
Good morning, everyone. Truly a pleasure to be here before you. Special thank you to our chairs, Representative Larry Lambert and co-chair Senator Marie Pinckney. Thank you for all the committee members as well. I see a lot of familiar faces on this Zoom and some new faces I look forward to working with along this process. Environmental justice is an important issue for our state, throughout our state. And I look forward to lending and being involved as much as possible on behalf of Delaware State Housing Authority. So thank you so much. I look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you. Next up, we have DNREC Secretary Sean Garvin.
Thank you, Representative Lambert, Senator Pinckney, the rest of the members of the General Assembly and committee members. It's great to be here with you this morning. Environmental justice is a basic tenet of what we do at DNREC. My prior life before coming to DNREC, I worked for the United States Environmental Protection Agency, in which we focused on environmental justice in a major way. And so I'm really excited about the opportunity, not only for us to engage in the things that we have going on at DNREC, but having so many other people around the table, because when we talk about inequities, when we talk about how environmental justice plays in our communities, it plays into a larger footprint of other things going on in the communities. And so having so many people around the table for us to have good discussions about how do we move forward, how do we address the community needs, how do we make sure that we're getting resources in, but more importantly, or as important, is how are we getting information in and getting information out of the communities that can better help inform us as we make decisions. So I appreciate the leadership of the chair and the co-chair and all the rest of the participants and everybody else who is joining us for this discussion. And I look forward to seeing the progress that we can make here. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Garvin. Next up, we have the Delaware Division of Agriculture Secretary Michael Skews.
Hi, good morning, Chair Lambert and Co-Chair Pinckney and the rest of the committee members. My name is Nico Brady, representing the Department of Agriculture and Secretary Skews. I'm the Deputy Principal Assistant and Head of Policy here at the department. We're excited to be a part of this committee. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to engaging with the rest of the committee members on this important topic. We feel that agriculturalists and our farmers and producers here in the state are our premier environmentalists, and also we recognize that certainly the farm workers and the other supports that work in the sector of agriculture are certainly some of the communities that we're talking about here with environmental justice. So we're happy to engage and looking forward to learning more and also sharing more about agriculture in our sector here in Delaware.
Excellent. Thank you, Nico. Next up, we have the Department of Labor Director, Richard Fernandez.
Good morning, Chair Lambert. Good morning, everyone. My name is Richard Fernandez, and I'm the Director for the Division of Employment and Training. And this is truly an honor to be a part of this committee. And I really look forward to learning from all of you, using the expertise in this room, using the expertise of this committee to assist our community, more so our job seekers, and see how we could integrate, these program goals within our Department of Labor's programs and services. So once again, I look forward to the collaboration on this very important project. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Fernandez. And our last committee member, we saved the best for last. We have Michelle Roberts from EJHA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Roberts, and it gives me a joy and a pleasure to be here. Representative Larry Lambert and Co-Chair Pinckney, Senator Pinckney, thank you for this illustrious invitation. I'm the proud daughter of Leslie R. Roberts and Jacqueline Roberts, both graduates of the Howard High School class of 1954. It is a joy, a privilege, and an honor to be here, to be part of this. I am a former environmental scientist and have served in many capacities throughout the state of Delaware and have a long stretch reach in environmental justice, and one of the co-authors of many reports, but one that's near and dear to me being that of the environmental justice report that we put together with the communities, where we addressed the disparate impacts of pollution on health on the Route 9 industrial corridor. In addition to that, just last, I'm equally proud of the body of work that we created along with the Natural Resources Defense Council, and that being called Watered Down Justice. Looking very forward to being.
And I want to thank everyone for their support in this initiative. We are going to skip the next couple of slides, and we're going to dive right into what is the Justice 40 Oversight Committee. So I want to begin with definitions. You've heard some terms, EJ, environmental justice. So I want to make sure that we're all in alignment so that as we proceed forward, we can synergize our energies for collective change. The EPA's definition for environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. And when it comes to what is Justice 40, what we're all here for, I'm going to share with you a little history of Justice 40. When President Biden came into office, one of his earliest executive orders was Executive Order 14008. This was in regards to climate change. And one of the pivotal parts of this executive order was what he referenced as the Justice 40 Initiative. That initiative establishes that when it comes to federal investments going to the 50 states, federal investments dealing with climate change, sea level rise, pollution remediation, green energy, et cetera, that when it comes to those federal investments into the 50 states, that at least 40% of those investment benefits goes to disadvantaged communities. That's what we're here for. For so long, we haven't had an opportunity to take that overarching approach, to make sure we designate our disadvantaged communities, to hear from them, to listen to them. What are their issues? This is an opportunity for us to not only look at some of our issues that have been siloed for so long, issues like the environment, issues like health, issues like transportation, labor, et cetera, agriculture. This is an opportunity for us to look at all of this in a comprehensive way, in a cumulative way. So that's why I'm so glad to have you all here. There will be an opportunity for us to not only unpack some of the bottlenecks and blockades that we've had before, but to make sure that we're working together in a way so that we can map where these funds are going, to make sure that they're going to our overburdened communities. I do want to stop for a moment and also welcome our wonderful community members that are here today. Those are who we started with. And I want to make sure that we, like I said, that we center our communities to make sure that they are where all of this springs from. I want to start with Dr. Carl Turner.
Okay. I'm pleased to be a member of the committee, and I hope to be of service to it. I'm a retired physician, I'm an internist, and I've seen the impacts of environmental injustice, and I'm all for seeing this change.
Thank you so much, Dr. Turner. Next up, we have Maria Payan.
Hi, thank you. I am pleased to be here. My name's Maria Payan. I live in Sussex County, Delaware, and I have been working for, gosh, at least probably 15 years, on these issues, and they're very important issues that I'm very grateful that we're looking into this and taking this seriously, and I'm happy to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Carrie Evelyn Harris.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to have been given the blessing to be on this committee. I am a community organizer throughout the state of Delaware and nationally. And while environmental justice was never my first area, it has touched every piece of my organizing. And I learned it by knocking doors and serving the community and seeing people affected firsthand. When I started to see it, I started to educate myself at the feet of people like Michelle Roberts and Maria Payan and other folks throughout the state and nationally who have taught me just how EJ touches every part of justice work. And it has changed my direction and how I maneuver in justice work in general. And I'm really excited to participate and give my input and figure out how we can move our communities forward together.
Thank you, Carrie. Next up, we have Ron Handy. Ron Handy might not be able to unmute his phone. And we also have Jeffrey. Hello, Ron, you can go.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
It's an honor to be a part of this. I've been dealing with community issues for a very long time, and I see how a lot of times our communities get shortchanged. There may be funding out there or fines that have been excess, but they never trickle back down to the communities that they're affected. So I'm a strong supporter of this committee and would love to give any of my knowledge, expertise, and insight to make this a very successful committee.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. We also have Jeffrey Richardson.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be a part of this great committee. Jeffrey Richardson. I have been active in movement work for about 3 decades in various movements, economic development, peace movement, Free South Africa movement, but also environmental justice and economic development movements for a number of years. Esteemed people on the committee, some I've worked with before, so again, thank you for this opportunity. I also teach, of course, in environmental justice and on issues of race at the University of Delaware in Africana Studies. Looking forward to learning and just being a part of this, and I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I believe that covered, hold on, we do have Ms. Dora Williams. Excellent. Thank you for joining, Ms. Williams.
I'd just like to thank you for this opportunity this morning. I'd like to thank God for this opportunity. And I'd like to thank God for all of you, because environmental justice is indeed in the forefront, because it is where people play, raise their children, work, and leave a legacy. So I thank you for this change. And I indeed thank you for the oversight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. And when it comes to our wonderful community members, although they're here today as guests, we want to make sure that we're listening to them and hearing their concerns. Our community members cover Sussex County, Kent County, Newcastle County, and there have been a long list of legacy issues that have impacted our overburdened communities. And that's where I want to proceed into the definition of disadvantaged communities. So these are our communities that have been negatively impacted by the impacts of pollution, by the impacts of poverty. And a lot of our disadvantaged communities are communities of color, disproportionately so. Our communities have not only been impacted by environmental injustice, but through the impacts of redlining, mass incarceration, lack of access to quality health care, quality housing, quality transportation. All of these ills have put our communities in a space where not only do we need restorative justice, but we need economic justice. And we can't talk about making communities whole unless we're talking about economic justice as well. And that's where this opportunity in Justice 40 to not only track what we're doing in these communities, but to track the implementation of these benefits to make sure that the economic benefits are coming into our communities. It's imperative that if we're talking about contracting and procurement, we're also talking about procurement for minority-owned businesses, businesses of color. We want to make sure that if we're putting people to work in our communities, it's not just for a 3-month gig, but we're talking about disadvantaged community-owned businesses. That's how we make those funds recycle back into our communities. And that's why we have this list here. This list here is broad, don't get me wrong. We'll be sharing this slide, our PowerPoint slideshow. We'll be sharing it with everyone so that you can take a deeper dive. And all of this information was pulled from the interim implementation guidance for the Justice 40 Oversight Committee. That is a document that is housed at our landing page at the legis.delaware.gov website. So we want to make sure that we just evidence for everybody how the White House and how the Justice 40 Oversight Committee is defining disadvantaged communities. However, there are other ways that we define our disadvantaged communities. Another term you might hear for disadvantaged community is overburdened community, EJ community, environmental justice community, and you'll also hear them referenced as sacrifice zone communities. And that term is particularly sad because for so long, a lot of these communities were redlined into areas where there was also heavy industry. So again, we really appreciate you guys taking a deeper look at what our disadvantaged communities are going through. And we appreciate our community members for also evidencing firsthand what's going on the ground. So let's talk about the benefits of Justice 40. So when we talk about the benefits, these are how these investment benefits can positively impact our overburdened disadvantaged communities. So right here is just a little snapshot. These are some of the issues that have been impacting our communities here in Delaware. As many of you know, just a few weeks ago, we had parts of Wilmington that were underwater. That's why we need to revisit our sustainable water infrastructure and flood mitigation plans. We have issues across Delaware in regards to clean water. Secretary Shoup, Representative Deb Heffernan have been really strong on that. And I want to thank the Speaker of the House, Valerie Longhurst, for her efforts with House Bill 200 this year, the Clean Water Bill that took many years to get passed. And those are the kind of efforts that we want to see going forward with our Justice 40 Oversight Committee. We'll have an opportunity to map the implementation of a lot of these federal programs. And this actually brings me to another definition that I wanted to share with you, and that is a covered program. So when it comes to federal funds coming to our 50 states in regards to climate change, pollution remediation, a lot of these funds are going to be referenced as covered programs. And in that regard, those are the ones that will most likely be passing through our Justice 40 oversight so that we'll be able to map them adequately. Just another few items I wanted to share: clean energy industry job training, household pollution cleanup, lead poisoning remediation. And I wanted to thank the supporters that worked with me on House Bill 222, my lead poisoning bill this year. Again, these are just some of the benefits, and the broader list of benefits can be found on the interim implementation guidance document that is housed on our landing page. Thank you. I do want to pause. There's been a lot of information here, a lot to digest, and this is just an introductory meeting. I want to make sure that this is a dialogue and it's a conversation. If anybody has any questions at any point, feel free to share your input. We want to make sure that this dialogue goes both ways. Feel free to share your hand as we proceed. Are there any questions right now? We will proceed along to the core goals of the Justice 40 Oversight Committee. As we mentioned, this is about transformative justice. This is about centering disadvantaged communities and jumpstarting